I'd like to introduce everyone to Sam. Sam, thank you for joining us today on the Ditch the Diet podcast. You're joining us from the gym, so we may well have a few people, noises of people working out in the background at some point. So
Potentially, maybe.
potentially. So thank you for joining us today.
Okay.
I thought we'd just jump straight in and talk about the amazing thing that you are doing in December. So would you like to tell the listeners what it is that's happening for you in December?
Yeah. So hello everybody. So me and myself, a team of 4 other guys, there's 5 of us in total, will be rowing across the Atlantic Ocean from La Gomera, which is a small island near Tenerife, to Antigua, which is obviously in the Caribbean. So from start to finish, it's 3,000 miles in a straight line. And it's roughly going to take between 30 and 60 days, dependent on the weather. So we're doing it to raise money for the Plastic Soup Foundation, which is a charity that's clearing up the oceans, trying to reduce the amount of plastic that goes into products that eventually finds its way into the oceans. And our target is £250,000. And we've got 8 weeks left until we start the row. So things are heating up and it's getting quite close now.
Yeah, I bet it is. So there's 5 of you in total. Has anyone done this before? Has anyone in the team done anything like this before?
No, nobody has rowed across the Atlantic. None of us have really done much rowing.
Okay.
There's 3 seafarers in the boat, so 2 of which are still working on yachts, and I am an ex-seafarer, so I worked on boats for 3 years, and I qualified as an ocean yacht master. So in terms of navigation, we've got enough tickets and enough knowledge between us to cross an ocean and know what's dangerous, what's not dangerous, how a boat kind of handles in rough weather. But none of us have ever rowed before, so it should be new for all of us.
Wow. And I'm really interested to find out, and I'm sure the listeners are, how you ended up getting here, because we're from the same part of the country, which is very much landlocked. I don't think you can get any further from the ocean as where we are. We might have a little bit of a reservoir, but that's it. So how did you end up from being landlocked Midlands to being, you said you're a yachtsman, and then obviously the rowing. How did that all happen?
Yeah, my mum's an osteopath. She's been an osteopath since before I was born. So she has lots of different patients, and she treats, I'm not sure she still treats him, the ex-commodore of the sailing club that he got me into. So my mum pushed me out on a sailing course when I was 8 years old, on a reservoir called Swarkston, which is up near Derby. So I really enjoyed that, and actually ended up booking onto it the second time in the same 6-week summer holidays. I enjoyed it that much. And I think it's just being out on the water and not having any noise, and it's just you and the boat and the wind, and you're fully in control of what you're doing. I think I like that aspect of it. So I did 2 weeks sailing holiday, and then ever since then I joined Chasewater Sailing Club, which is a lot closer to home. Got involved with the onboard scheme there. So they take youth sailors from the age of, I think the minimum age is 8, all the way up through their level 1, level 2 seamanship skills. And went down that route really. I got involved with a guy called John Morris, who I sailed with and did a lot of racing with for 4 years. And we raced all around the country in a boat called a GP14. And then from there, I bought my own boat. I managed to ask my mum for enough money and saved up pocket money and bought my own boat, which was, it was a little bit old. I think it was about 35 years old at the time, one of the oldest boats in the sailing club. And it was quite leaky. I had to keep on bodging it up with some kind of silicone filler. And then I ended up buying another boat and then started going around the circuit doing sailing. I got a tow bar fitted onto my car, so everything was very sailing orientated. Everything I did was kind of looking forward to the weekend and going out and racing and being with friends, being out on the water. So that was all at Chasewater. And then as I got a little bit older, I thought I want to kind of step it up another level. So I went to a place called Plasmenai in North Wales and did my water sports instructor course, which was sailing, kayaking, windsurfing and powerboating. Finished there, worked there for 6 months, and then wanted to go a little bit bigger. So I went down to UKSA, which is the United Kingdom Sailing Academy in the Isle of Wight in Cowes. Studied there for 6 months. We did some amazing things, some big kind of ocean passages and 65-foot kind of round the world sailing boat. Learned heaps at the time. And then that took me on to working on super yachts. So I worked there for 3.5 years, been all around the world, across the Atlantic 6 times on a bigger boat, nothing as small as the rowing boat that we're going to be crossing on, and obviously with an engine and not by rowing. So yeah, that's really the story as it goes, getting into sailing, into the yachting world, and then I am where I am now.
And you're a PT instructor now, aren't you?
Personal trainer now.
Yeah, it's your day job, although I should imagine the rowing takes up quite a lot of time. You also do triathlons and Ironmans as well.
Yeah.
So you quite busy. So how did you get, I mean, that's obviously not water based, so how did you get from sort of the yachts to the PT side of it? That's, again, I know it's all sporty but quite different.
Yeah, I think I've always been very outdoorsy, and I like being outside, pushing myself. But I think really where the endurance aspect came from was a big weight loss journey that I had. So I was always a little bit bigger than everybody else, and I think when I got free reins and I was able to decide what I ate, I was just given money, obviously, as most school kids are, and I could eat sausage rolls, I could eat chips and pizza whenever I wanted. And I soon found that when I stopped playing rugby at the age of 16 and I had a bit of money in my bank, I could buy whatever I wanted, the weight started coming on. I wasn't training rugby, I was eating bad, and all these kind of bad habits started coming into play. When I was 19, I joined my first super yacht. It was a completely different world. Everybody worked, everybody was fit, they trained after work, we skateboarded, people would want to go out windsurfing, and all the girls were quite good looking as well. And obviously there was me being a little bit one of the chubbier crew. So I wanted to kind of fit in with everybody else and thought, well, what do I need to do? I need to start exercising. So then it went from there. I started tracking my weight on the scales, making a kind of mental note of it. And I can remember the heaviest I ever got was 118 kilos. And now I'm 92, but I've put on 6 kilos in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, wow. And you're quite tall though, aren't you?
I'm 6'4". Yeah. So yeah, the weight started coming off. I dropped 4 stone in total, and then got into triathlon kind of just before I left the second boat. And then I realised I was reasonably good at it, and it was something I wanted to pursue and get better in, and maybe even reach a professional level. Left the boat, went full-time kind of training, thought I'd use my personal training qualification to my advantage. So I got a job in a gym, and then based working with clients around my own training to get myself better to where I wanted to be. And then to date, I've done 10 half Ironman distances, and then 1 full Ironman. I've just entered into my second full Ironman, which is next year in September. Yeah, another couple of things. I cycled Land's End to John O'Groats, which is a really good cycle to do. We did it in 9 days as part of an organised event called the Deloitte Ride Across Britain. So 9 days, you camp every night, they put all the food on for you, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. It was amazing. Oh, brilliant. Was that for charity or was that just for pleasure? I did raise money for Parkinson's disease, but it was really more for pleasure, mainly. Yeah, I like the idea of that. I quite like cycling. I'm not particularly good on the water. I can't believe you say that you're in control when you're in a boat, because I feel very out of control when I'm in a boat. Takes a bit of practice. It does, but it is very peaceful. I agree. It is. I quite like supping, and it's really nice when you're out there, and it's so quiet when you're on the ocean, isn't it? Surprisingly. Yeah. I think you can kind of. It's time to. You've got time to think about things, and all the stress kind of seems to go out the window a little bit, and everyday life just seems to disappear. So it's quite a relaxing time, I think. Brilliant. And so the row will be relaxing. So bringing you back to kind of your kind of weight loss and stuff. So you obviously, now that you're training and trying stuff, you really need to think about what you're eating. So did you change your eating style? Was it just a case of restricting calories, or have you learned more about nutrition as a result of the tries and losing some weight? Yeah, I think definitely learned a lot about what I should be eating, what I shouldn't be eating. But I think really, I think people are overcomplicating it, and maybe I was overcomplicating it to start with. When I initially started losing weight, I knew I was drinking too many fizzy drinks because they were always there, they were always available. to get my hands on. So I knew I needed to cut back on those. So I cut down from maybe 3 cans of fizzy drink a day, whether it be Coke or Fanta or whatever, to 1. I restrict myself to 1. I'd always have that at lunchtime. And then just trying to eat more fresh fruit and vegetables, and cutting back on the kind of sauces and the heavy meat dishes, which I knew just from looking at them, they're going to have more calories in. I don't think it takes much of a genius to see the difference between what's good for you and what's not so good for you. I cut out desserts. I would always have a dessert twice a day because all the food was cooked for us on the boat. And instantly my weight just started coming off. Drinking more water and just trying to be active, trying to get myself moving every day. I'd always say I want to exercise at least once a day, whether it be half an hour, 45 minutes. And it helped with other people around me that everybody wanted to keep fit and exercise and get themselves moving. So that was it really. And then obviously as I got into triathlon, I met a friend who was vegan. And he started raving about it and saying how much better he's sleeping, how much better his performance is, recovery is a lot better, how he was eating like large quantities of food. And almost after 20 minutes, he'd be kind of hungry again and want a little bit more. And I quite like the thought of being able to eat a lot of food. And I'd never really found the sweet spot. I'd always kind of still stuck to my old habits of trying to keep my carbohydrates low, trying to eat steak and chicken and fish. And when I actually looked into it and researched it, I thought eating a higher meat diet isn't really going to benefit me when most of the actually energy source that I need is going to be carbohydrates to fuel myself for long periods of time. So I started researching and watching YouTube videos and learning. And then I went to a plant-based, high-carb, low-fat diet. And ever since then, I've just felt a lot better. And obviously all the stuff that I mentioned before has started to come into play. And then just tweaking things here and then. Obviously I've started to put on a little bit of weight now, so I'm able to eat little bits of flapjack here and maybe a bit of peanut butter in my porridge just to bulk it out a little bit, higher calories. But I know that because I've previously lost weight and I'm very kind of in tune with my body, as I think most people kind of should be, how to lose weight, how to gain a little bit of weight, what's good and what's bad, and you can kind of balance it as and how you wish. So I think that's it really.
I love that. I like what you said about, actually people overcomplicate it, and it's about, eating more fruit and vegetables and less of the junk food and the pops and the sauces. And it's simple really, isn't it? It's not, you can look at food and you can see, is this going to be good for me? Is this not going to be good for me? And it's not necessarily saying I'm not going to have the stuff that isn't, but you make the most of your diet around the stuff that is. So yeah. It's simple really, isn't it? Exactly. And how long have you been vegan for?
It will be 3 years in February. I think I went vegan.
And have you felt a benefit from changing that? Do you feel it's improved your performance?
I think my improvement has been my performance has been improving year on year. Mm-hmm. I can't say necessarily whether it wouldn't have improved if I didn't go plant-based, but I feel it definitely has helped me along the way. I feel my recovery is better, so I guess if my recovery wasn't as good, I wouldn't be able to push myself as much each session. So I wouldn't have had as good effects from the training. So yeah, I definitely think it has helped.
Brilliant. And I did episode 3. I did an interview with David Whitehouse, who was very complimentary about your training, and he did vegan for a week as a result of I don't know if he shared that, but he was really complimentary, and it was really lovely. I loved your attitude because he'd had sort of bad news from the doctors. He'd said he didn't want to go on tablets, and the nurse was like, yeah, we'll see you in 6 months. And then you were like, actually, yeah, we're going to get you to do an Ironman in 6 months. That was a very go-to attitude. So is that typical of how you are with clients, that it's, I know you were very structured with David, which isn't a normal client, but how do you train people generally? Do you like to do people like David Ironman, or is it across the board?
I think people that come to me with a challenge or a goal that they've got, I really like that, because it shows that they're determined. It shows that they can knuckle down. And if they set themselves something that they want to do, set themselves a goal, I love being able to help people to achieve it. I think I get a lot of clients who come to me and they just want to lose a bit of weight. tighten up, tone up, maybe increase their fitness slightly, which is fine, because there's going to be a lot of people out there that want to do that. Not everybody wants to do something big like an Ironman. But when David came to me and told me all his things, said he's doing a little bit of swimming, he's never ran before. He said, how long do you think it'd take? And I said, I think 6 months and you'd be able to do it. So that's when he entered into the Ironman. And I knew that I'd get him there, but I know that he had to commit and he had to do everything that I told him to do. And it's kind of, it works two ways. I can tell him what to do. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, kind of thing. And David was really good. He never really skipped any sessions. He was always on it. There's a couple of little niggles here and there, which are bound to happen. But he got back on it, and it was great to see him cross the line in Staffordshire. I did the same event as him in Staffordshire, and I didn't finish that year because I cramped up really bad and didn't finish the run. So I watched him finish.
Oh, you must have been so proud, though.
I was, yeah. I had a couple of guys doing it that year as well. So I think there was 3 of my clients that did it in 2018. So it was an amazing event.
Fantastic, but frustrating that you didn't manage to finish.
Yeah, I came back this year and did it.
Well done. Had to, didn't you?
I just had to.
So let's, really interesting backstory. I'd like to pop back to the Ocean5, because obviously that's the big thing that's happening at the minute. So did you see, when you were on the oceans, did you see a lot of plastic waste? Was it something that you were aware of while you were on the yachts?
I guess everywhere we went to was relatively well manicured, could I say. All the beaches were quite well kept, and they're obviously looked after and cleaned, and it's somebody's job to go out and do that. When we went to Thailand, I remember we were going in on the tender, and just looking down at the water, there was lots of bits of plastic and bottles and lids, and that did make me think about it. And I thought, well, where is all this coming from? Why is it here? And maybe it's because of the type of place we were, a bit more of a third world country, that people didn't have the knowledge about where the rubbish goes, and if they drop it, it's ultimately going to end up in the sea. So really, when we've been out on the boats in general, I didn't really see that much plastic and didn't realise it was that much of an issue. Noticed it in Thailand quite a lot, and then obviously when I got asked to do the challenge, I've looked more into it and realised how much of an issue it is after seeing pictures and beaches and whole islands made of plastic in the Pacific, where the plastic is all just joined together because of the currents, and the island is actually bigger than the country of Wales, according to science. And yeah, they're actually talking about putting it on, you know how you get the globes for kids at school, like the circular globes. They're actually thinking about putting it on there as an island that's made out of plastic, so kids kind of look at it and say, what's that? And the teachers can explain to them.
That's scary, isn't it? I went to a talk with Sarah Outen. She cycled and rode, circumnavigated the globe, and she was saying that. So obviously, I think you're probably much closer when you're on a rowboat rather than a yacht, aren't you, to the water? And she said that there was times when she was just rowing, and she'd be rowing through just plastic waste in the middle of the ocean, and it's scary, isn't it? That the things that we as humans are doing to the planet. We don't know the consequences, really, do we? So
no, exactly.
Yeah, very scary. So £250,000 is your goal. How are you getting on with that?
We're up to about £70,000 at the moment. We have a couple of companies that have donated straight to the charity, which is fine, and then the majority of people have donated straight to us. So obviously the project has to be funded, as any project does. So the boat, the entry fee, all the foods, the equipment. Luckily, we've had quite a few equipment sponsors, like Slam, which is the clothing gear. They've given us all our foul weather gear, shorts, kind of smocks with zips and stuff for foul weather, bad weather. We've got a company called Gym Pro Apparel, who's given us our gym gear. Various other companies that have helped with embroidery, putting labels on the boat, stickers. The boat's going to be wrapped next week. So we've had a few discounts here and there. I forgot where I'm going with this
So we're saying how far you've gone. So what sort of things have you done for fundraising? I saw something the other day where you rowed for, how long were you rowing for? Was it 3.5 hours or something?
That was Saturday. Yeah, I kind of decided in my head I wanted to try and do a marathon on the rowing machine after having seen a previous rower who did the Atlantic Road last year, he'd done it a few times. So I thought, I want to see how long it takes me, and I'll do it in the gym. I spoke to the manager at David Lloyd, and he said, yeah, it's fine. So it took me 3 hours and 22 minutes. So it was quite a long time to be sitting down for, but I had a couple of people that I knew walk past in the gym, so they spoke to me. I managed to raise £50, which was okay in just over 3 hours. But other things than that, we've actually used David Lloyd's in Newbury, Lichfield. We've been to the Farnham one as well, which is a bit further down south from where we are, and just taken the boat there. Had a couple of row machines, spoken to people, kids have jumped on the boat and donated. We've had a couple of bigger sponsorships from that, and also lots of little ones as well, so that's all accumulated and added up. Kevin has been into local schools, taken the boat there, done presentations, been around to a couple of different businesses. We have done a charity walk, which is organised by my mum. We managed to raise £300 there from some of her patients. It was a walk up in the Peak District around Castleton. Not sure if you know around that region.
No, I'm not aware of it. I'm not a big walker, I'm afraid.
I did organise a charity bike ride. We made about £250 from there as well. A couple of the guys. I'm assuming
you've
friends.
Great, and I'm assuming you've got a Just Giving page, so we'll put a link to that in the show notes so people can donate. So is that so what's happening now, ramping up? So you've got how many weeks till you leave?
8 weeks till we fly. 8 weeks today. It's the 1st of December we fly, and then 8 weeks plus 12 days, so just under 10 weeks until we start the row.
Wow. Yeah. So what's the plan? What's the next 8 weeks going to look like for you?
So next weekend we're planning to do a 36-hour row. So launching on the Saturday morning and rowing through Saturday night, Sunday, and then retrieving the boat, putting it back on the trailer on Monday. So that's really the biggest row that we will have done, and then we'll practice our shift patterns, which is 2 hours on, 2 hours off. And we're aiming to row from Torquay to Brighton, which is a fair old distance, but because of the wind direction, it's a southwesterly to westerly, so we'll always have the wind behind us. It makes it very difficult in a rowing boat when we want to get back to the same point, because if the wind's quite strong, it's very difficult to row against. So hopefully the wind's in the right direction when we do the Atlantic crossing. So we've got the 36-hour row. The boat gets shipped on the 26th of October, so we've got less than a month now to finish everything that we need to do on the boat, get all our food, pack all our snack bags. We're still waiting for our life raft. The boat needs to be surveyed before it goes in the shipping container, which is all being done at Rannoch, which is where the boat was built. So there's heaps of stuff going on that all needs finishing and finalising, because everything that we need on the boat needs to be in it when it goes into the shipping container, so that when we get there, it's there already, ready to use.
So food for me, can't take anything with you, so it's all got to be on there. So food for me is obviously the podcast Ditch a Diet, and it's all about kind of food and stuff. So how, obviously, I know you said you're bulking up a little bit for the row because you're going to need to use some energy reserves, but how are you eating while you're on there? How, what food is there?
For the first week or so, you can take fresh fruits, bananas, apples. Some of that stuff will last for quite a long time. But actually during the row, we're going to be using freeze-dried food. So we've got a company called Real Termat. It's kind of all ground down. You add hot water to it in a kind of Ziploc-ish bag, and then you let it stew, let it cook for 5-10 minutes, and then you can eat it once it cools down a tiny bit. So that's what we'll be eating. On top of that will be kind of snacks, sweets. Probably not so much chocolate because that might melt. Anything high calorie, dried fruit, mangoes, bananas, nuts, seeds, that kind of stuff. Anything to get a high volume of calories in that's not going to take up that much space. We've been looking at trying to get some sort of kind of mass gainer powder to take with us that's 500 to 700 calories per scoop, so that we can add that to our kind of daily calories, and it will really help to bulk it out without taking it in a food format. Because I think really to eat 5,500, 6,000 calories a day, it's going to be quite difficult for anybody to eat that. It's a heck of a lot of food. So any different way to get it into our bodies would be quite nice, I think.
Yeah. And have you tasted any of this food, this freeze-dried, reconstituted food yet?
I have tried it a couple of times. It's actually not that bad. It's all right. I don't know what I'll probably think of a vegetable curry after day 3.
Yeah. Have you got much choice being vegan? Have you got a great deal of choice in them?
Real Tomat have just released a few more vegan products. So I think they've got about 6 or 7.
Oh, great.
So I'll be eating a lot of the same food. But to be fair, I eat a lot of the same food anyway at home. I don't tend to mix it up too much. It's generally mainly vegetables and some sort of rice or potatoes or polenta or couscous and that kind of stuff. So it's all included in the meals anyway. They're really good.
Yeah. Just not necessary. They're not designed to taste amazing, are they? They're designed to serve a purpose, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah.
And what about things like water? Because obviously, we talk about the food, and for me, the food's important. But actually, you need to carry a lot of water, don't you?
We do have a set amount of water that we need to take. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure what it is. Partly for ballast and partly for emergency water. Mm-hmm. But we have a water maker on board.
Okay.
So it kind of sanitizes the salt water to fresh water. We can only make so much per hour, and all the crew will be limited to how much we can use per day. It's not like rations. We won't be dehydrated. We just need to try and keep on top of it, because we'll be sweating a lot as well. Yeah. So kind of electrolyte, sodium tablets are definitely going to be high up on the list of stuff to be taken in our snack packs per day.
Yeah, definitely. So if people are listening and they want to help, how can they help? What are you looking for? You're just looking for sponsorship, or are there other things as well? You mentioned about the high volume sort of shakes and things. Are you still looking for help in things like that?
Yeah, if anybody's listening and has a product that they can maybe give us at a reduced cost or give to us, that would be amazing. If they want to donate, you can do it via the website, which is www.theocean5.com. So that's one word, and 5 is number 5, not letters 5. We have a Just Giving page, and if anybody would like to donate more, then they could email the address on there. We have a Facebook page, which is The Ocean5, and then also an Instagram page, which is called the_ocean_5 as well. So you can track our progress on there. During the row as well, there's an app which you can download on your phone called the Yellow Brick app, or it may come up as YB Races. So you can download that and type in the Ocean 5 once they've loaded it all up, which should be done the next month. And you can see a little dot across the ocean. You can see where we are, see how fast we're going, and see what position we're in as well in relation to the other votes.
That'd be really good. And are you going to? So I'll put all the links to that in the show notes so everyone can see them. And are you going to be able to? Are you going to do any kind of recording and stuff while you're on there? Are you going to be able to post anything while you're actually rowing? I was going to say sailing, but it's rowing.
Yes, we're going to be able to send a couple of videos home each day and photos, and we have a designated person ashore who is going to update our Instagram and Facebook and make sure all our family are kind of are informed how we're feeling and what's going on with updates and stuff like that. So yeah, we do have the ability to do it. I think it's just quite expensive, so it will be to a minimum.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite a big window as well, isn't it? 30 to 60 days. That just shows how affected you are by tide and current and wind. It's a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah, massive. I mean, the quickest anybody's ever done it is 29 days. But they had extremely strong winds, they were lucky it was pushing them in the right direction for the whole crossing, down to some of the slowest teams, which have taken up to 90 days. But that's more for solo rowers.
Right.
But I need to get back to work, so I want to be done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, row harder. Yeah. That's brilliant. I'm really excited. I'd love to have you back after you've done it. I'll be really interested to find out how you guys got on. But I'll put all the links in the notes. Good luck with it. I think it's amazing. I read a stat on your I think it was on your website that said that more people have been in space than have rowed across the ocean.
That's true. Yeah.
Amazing stat. That is amazing. So well done. It's I'm really looking forward to it. I'll post all the notes and we'll definitely give you a follow, and I'll keep updating people on your progress on my social media as well. But we'll put all the links in. hopefully we can get you up to get you a bit more sponsorship and stuff, and we'll put those notes in for you. So you better get back to your next client, I'm guessing.
Thank you, Wendy. Yeah, before everybody comes up and starts making loads of noise.
Yeah, I just started to hear a bit of movement in the background, so we'll wrap it up. But thanks, Sam, you've been great, and good luck with it all. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Thanks,
all
Wendy.
Right. Take care.
Cheers.